Sure. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to the November 4th City Council meeting. Let's see, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Welch.
I'll second.
And a second by Councilmember Pershman. Any further discussion?
Do we need to remove 5.1 from the agenda?
That's a good question.
Okay,
Okay.
just checking.
Let's see. Christy was alluding to the fact that Carver County Attorney Mark Metz is a little under the weather, so he will not be joining us tonight. But let's just go ahead with the motion in the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. Morgan, do you have anything to say tonight? Do you want me to read the community comment disclaimer?
Do you want a community comment? Because I'm fine with just.
I don't not want a community comment. If you have something to say that's on your mind, you are more than welcome to share it, but you don't have to feel like you need to present and say stuff every time. Okay, fantastic.
I like it. I like this man.
Yeah, I know. It's like you know us. Okay. Presentations and reports. Like I mentioned, Carver County Attorney Mark Metz isn't able to join us tonight, but we do have what we have all been waiting for, the 3rd Street Bridge Project construction update. Mr. Schmidt, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a construction update that I want to share with everybody tonight as it relates to the 3rd Street Bridge project. As you know, there's been a number of things that have been done here in the last several weeks. Namely, the box culvert has been installed. They're currently working on the head wall, which is kind of each end of the box culvert that ties down to the channel. That'll be a cast-in-place concrete structure that they're working on. They've completed one of those pours, kind of the bottom pour of that. There's 2 more to go. They're currently forming up for the second pour, and they were working on that last week as well. And then we got some rain, which caused some issues. So kind of as it relates to those issues, Spring Creek is a pretty unforgiving creek, as you all know. So their excavation flooded. Actually, it's flooded twice. And that's caused some issues with timing of the project. It's put them back a few days, obviously. Last week after it flooded the last time, they really worked hard on trying to get a kind of a more resilient system in place. So they actually strung like 3 HDPE pipes through the concrete culvert, and they actually formed up and cast a concrete head wall like on a temporary basis to try to keep the creek from breaking loose. So I think they have a pretty good system in place now. I checked it out today, and it seemed like things are holding up pretty well. Obviously, there's not a lot that they could have done today with just the rain, and just the working conditions aren't really suitable for getting in there. So we'll see what happens here tomorrow with the additional rain that's planned. But hopefully they'll be getting in here this week to continue to work on the pour 2 of 3 for the head walls. So that brings me to, I have a schedule outlook for the month of November. So this is getting to be obviously go time. We got to start putting things together pretty quickly here. So as of last week, the schedule that was presented to me, this is kind of a modification of that based on where things are at today. But the goal is to get that second pour done this week, so the week of the 4th. I'm thinking it's probably going to be towards the end of the week if they get it in. So it was planned for midweek, but with the rain today and tomorrow, it'll probably be end of the week. And then that last pour, so pour 3 of 3, that concrete would be going in the end of next week, which would allow them to start backfilling the entire excavation the week of the 18th. So that whole hole has to get filled up with material again. And then we do have 2 runs of storm sewer that have to get installed. So that would be happening kind of concurrently with the backfill process the week of the 18th. And then the week of the 25th, which is the week leading up to Thanksgiving, we would be looking to prepare the roadway subgrade for a temporary roadway install to get us through the winter months. Oops, and that brings me to kind of my last slide here, kind of the question of what is this going to look like and how's it going to sit over the winter. Number one, we need to get we're looking to install the permanent gravel base for the road. So we'll install that full aggregate section. We're not planning to do any curb and gutter work at this time. It's just going to get too late, I think, for that. Plus, I think it'll actually work out pretty nicely if there's any settlements that happen.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to worry about curb and gutter repairs in the spring. So that's one benefit of that. No permanent pavement then in conjunction with that, because if you don't have the curb in, that kind of sets the vertical profile for the road. So you need to do the curb before you do the permanent paving. So we'd be actually looking at a temporary pavement mat that we could pave just a thin 2-inch lift of pavement to get us through the winter. That would allow then for the parking to be reinstated on the roadway over the winter months. Since the curb and gutter won't be installed, we'd be looking to put some jersey barrier, which is that concrete barrier that you see on the side of roadways pretty commonly. So actually working with Paul Schultz, the city has jersey barriers available. So the city could install those, which would be a reduced cost to the overall contract that we wouldn't have to bear those costs. So that's one thing that the city would hopefully be doing here at the end of the month. And then, like I said, the temporary pavement would be installed. So that would facilitate, number one, consistent snow removal for downtown in the winter. And then just kind of the messy, like wet conditions. Like if parking is on that road in the spring, it'll get really just kind of messy with turning movements and that kind of stuff. So we think all in all, it'll be a temporary product that will be able to last over the winter and spring months. And then at which time we'll take that out and we'll install the curb and gutter and the permanent bituminous surfacing next spring. So also sidewalks would remain closed just because there's really no sidewalk in. We'll be putting the jersey barriers up kind of where the sidewalk would go. So it doesn't pay to open that up and have people walking and risk someone falling or something. So we'll just keep sidewalk closed signs up for the year, and then we'll reinstate that in the spring with the permanent sidewalk construction. So I guess all in all, it's not really the finished product that we wanted to see for the fall here, but I think everyone's doing the best they can, and we're really fighting to just keep moving as efficiently as possible, but still recognize that we don't want to sacrifice quality this fall just because we want to try to ram something in. We want to keep focused on the long-term goal of a nice finished product that will serve the city very well for the decades to come. So that would be my recommendation for how things finish up this fall, and be happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of the game plan that I had in mind at this point. So questions?
Has a delay like this been factored into the overall cost to put a temporary road surface in?
Can you?
So we're going to have a temporary paved road surface. When you did all the factoring of cost, was there a margin there that
Is there a change order for that?
We don't have that in right now. I actually got some pricing put together from Hensch's, the contractor, today, and it looks like it's probably going to be close to $10,000 to do the temporary pavement. So that is not something that I've broached with MnDOT yet, so I would have to have that conversation with them. Things are transpiring in real time, so I talked to MnDOT again today and gave them kind of a full project update, and basically what they told me today was they're not willing to do any contract amendment for the construction costs right now. They want to see how the overall project, the pluses and minuses of the overall contract shake out next spring before they would consider doing any sort of a grant agreement amendment to compensate for those additional
I'm
costs.
sure that our vendors will just be cool waiting to get paid until May.
Well, so
That was sarcastic, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
like, that's frustrating.
Unfortunately, the city is gonna have to cash flow. You know, if the contractor did the work, they need to be paid, so I know it's kind of like a unknown land, uncharted, but I've been working really hard with MnDOT, and I think if there is money, they're probably gonna come to the table for us, but what she told me is she's managing 35 construction projects right now under that bridge program, so basically that their contingency they have has to get kind of figured out across the board, and right now she can't really make any promises, but I do think that she is gonna do what she can to help us if there's money available, so.
Jumping on Eric's change order question, you said that they were doing something about extra piping to help keep that area dry. Do you anticipate any change orders for that work?
I don't, we had that in the
Or any
contract.
other change orders? Oh, okay,
As a, stream diversion was a lump sum bid.
okay.
Within the contract, so they bid that out at X dollars lump sum, so it's unfortunately, as a contractor, you win some, you lose some, and if that one, hurt them a little bit, that's the way it goes, but I don't really anticipate any additional compensation being requested for that.
Okay, and then the only other
work.
comment I was gonna make is, this project has had some challenges. Mother Nature dealt us a hand this summer that we couldn't get started until July, and then we had some issues that, because we prioritized the structural integrity of our historic downtown, postponed the project again. So is this like textbook? No. But are we doing a good job? Are we gonna get a good project? Do I feel a rush to get it done by December 1st? No, absolutely not. So thank you. I think I'm in favor of this. I think that this is the right path forward, although not perfect, but we can only try for perfect, and hopefully that we get somewhere close.
I have a question, yeah.
Go ahead.
This backs up a little bit, but when we were talking about the gravel base, we've been talking about that since August. So, that was probably the way we're gonna have to go with the project starting later, and then obviously when talking about Steamboat Days time, we knew we weren't gonna have it open. So is that, being that we've known this for so long, is this something that we could have asked the state for earlier so that we would know if we would have this money in time?
I don't think it would have changed the outcome necessarily, just because based on what she told me today, she's not willing to do a contract amendment until she can see what the final projected construction cost is for the overall bid. So
Okay, so we didn't broach this with them though a few months
As
ago.
far
This is kind
as-
of the first time that we've talked to them about
well, I've
it,
been
or-
talking to MnDOT, since July
Right.
about
About the gravel base?
well, I guess the gravel base, that's a permanent construction improvement, so
Okay.
that's part of the original bid.
Okay,
I'll have them install the actual, the sub-base section for the pavement. So the 12 inches of gravel that go in, that'll stay in, that won't get removed.
oh, it won't, okay.
No.
Okay,
No,
all right. And we don't worry about that getting too degraded over the winter, sitting open?
so that's, yeah, another reason for doing the temporary asphalt. So
Okay.
just basically a thin lift of asphalt, just to sit down a paver and just pave a thin lift. That'll protect the gravel base from any contamination and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
And then, so that would be the only cost that would be what I would consider to be a throwaway interim improvement.
okay,
That won't be permanently incorporated into the project, so.
okay. Thank you, that helps me understand better. Thank you.
I just had the plan is to have the total bridge structure completed, right? So all the walls and the
Yep.
main structures, just the sidewalk, curb, and then that final pavement, right?
Mhm.
But it'll look 90% done, right?
Yeah, so the bridge, the bridge head walls and the concrete railings you see on each side, that'll all be done.
Okay.
The ornamental railing, that'll happen in the spring, so after the concrete railing is done, they'll take measurements and then they'll fabricate the railing over the winter. That was something that was always gonna come later. Every railing is custom, so they have to measure and then fabricate it. And then they'll install that in the spring, so unless they get it done, I guess sometime this winter, they can install railing in the winter months too, cause it's just, concrete anchors in the concrete, so. But yeah, you'll see like the concrete railing that'll be, this far above the grade and it'll line the whole street.
Okay.
The Jersey barriers are another method of basically keeping traffic away from that too.
Sure.
So then people wouldn't like hit it with a bumper of a car if they parked along the road, that kind of stuff. Cause the curbing isn't there to stop them.
Right. Okay, that's all I had.
Aaron, I had one question. If you're able to get the temporary pavement, would there be striping for the parking spots?
That's something that maybe public services could do if they have time. Otherwise, we would have to ask the contractor to do that, which we would have to pay them for. But
I think it'd be nice to have it just because,
you get disorganized.
yeah.
Yeah.
And anytime that we can not lose parking spots, or at least that it doesn't look like we're losing parking spots is helpful.
Okay. Good comments. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
For me, I'd be if Public Works could do it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would,
I did.
I would be for it.
No, that
But
was
being
an
that it's gonna
option.
be under
Yeah.
under the snow and ice and all the crud that's gonna be coming in the next couple months, I wouldn't want to pay extra to have
Yeah.
it striped.
I don't know enough on the options of who does it or how much
Sure,
it
yeah.
costs,
Good
but
idea.
if it's possible, have that.
I agree. I think if public services can do it and we can do it in-house and it's for minimal cost for something that's gonna go away, because people get creative downtown anyway.
Yeah.
And anywhere, really, like Target, you name it, when you can't see the stripes, it's free range parking. So it's a nice to have, it's not a need to have in my book, in my mind. Let's see, I just had a few more things while you guys were talking. I think when we share this update on like social media, can we make sure that we're really clear about the temporary pavement? Because I think folks are gonna be a little alarmed if they see pavement get ripped up 4 months, 6 months after it was laid down. But I think that we can explain it in a way that makes sense, the same way that you did, and that it protects it, and it's less of an investment than pulling out absolutely everything next spring and kind of starting from scratch. And then the other thing is, I can 100% see MnDOT's perspective. Instead of doing change and change and change and change to the contract, it makes sense to do one once we've got everything figured out. But if you ever need any help making things happen there, if there's any assistance that I can be, not that I know that I can be of any assistance, but I would be willing to help you try. But it sounds like you've got a great relationships with the folks over there.
Yeah, the person I've been working with she's been really helpful, and she understands the predicament we're in. So,
Good.
If I sense that things aren't going in the right direction, I'll be sure to let Brent know, and we can decide how to approach it from there. But I think right now like I said, I'm staying engaged with her and just keeping her continually updated, and treating them as a partner, which they obviously are in this. So,
Outstanding.
okay,
Thank you.
welcome.
Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
All right, we have no public hearings, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by
I'll
Councilmember
second.
Mock, and a second by Councilmember Sayer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. No business items, communications. Mr. Merrick.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a couple items for you with no work session tonight. Just a reminder, we posted on social media and the website and sent out some stuff with the Miriam Junction Trail project is starting Monday, November 14th. So for folks that are maybe watching, a lot of traffic coming from Depot Park.
Monday, November 11th.
Monday, November 11th. Thank you. So the main access to the construction site will come from Depot Park along the trail. So for the most part, hopefully it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind. But we have weekly construction meetings with Scott County and their contractor, Ames. I think they're out of Burnsville, so somewhat local. So if there's any questions or concerns as we kind of move forward related to this project. So we're not managing the communication. So if you have communication needs, it might take a little bit to kind of get that machine started. So if you do see something, Brenda and I will be working together on getting that out there. Also found out late last week through happenstance from a township resident that Great River Energy is working with Minnesota Valley Electric on a power line project kind of on the north side of our annexation area along Engler Boulevard or County Road 10. And so Friday afternoon, Aaron Smith and I met with them, shared some dissatisfaction with the process because they've fully engaged Laketown, Dahlgren townships, the City of Victoria and Carver County almost a year ago, and have submitted documents. And so they're providing us some space to prepare some documents, some stuff on our comp plans, or our comp plan. Once that's prepared, we'll send that on to the council. I shared a few weeks back that the Carver County Board updated or was in the process of updating an ordinance that would provide some type of resolve to limiting the amount of cannabis businesses within a local jurisdiction. And when the council previously discussed it at a work session, that was maybe one of a couple of reasons why the city council at the time decided, well, we'll keep that regulation in-house. This is separate from the zoning thing you'll be discussing later on this year. This is just the kind of the licensing aspect of it. So think liquor licensing, tobacco, liquor we do in-house, tobacco is done through Carver County. So we can put that on a future work session if you want to talk about it some more, or if you're still of the mind that you want to keep that as an internal process and regulation of the city, we can proceed as you've originally directed.
It doesn't change anything as far as number of licenses, does it?
Going to the county? No, they
If it goes to the county, it's just one, but if we keep it, it's,
the same.
oh, it's also one?
Yeah, they were able to create a path where it limits it in the same way that we could limit it locally. So that was the feedback that we had gave them, and part was that because of the original language, the city could have up to however many the total county could have, and they found a path through the county attorney's office to limit that to the same ratio that we would have if we managed it locally. So there's a benefit, and I don't mean to kind of go down the rabbit hole, but there's a benefit to having the county do it, and that they're going to be doing it in multiple jurisdictions, or at least with the county, where this would be something that we would do once a year, likely for one business. And so there's pros and cons to it, obviously, but there's a little bit of tongue and groove action with the sheriff's office working with county staff on a process in the same way that they manage the tobacco regulations. Again, I'm not looking for a thumbs up or thumbs down, just probably a thumbs up, thumbs down on, do you want to talk about it more, or are you still of the same mind? If you want to talk about it more, we can put it on your November 18th work session agenda just for a conversation, and I can add the ordinance that the county adopted, give you some information. But if you're just like, we've kind of already done that, we've made a choice to keep it local, then we can do that too.
For me, it seems to kind of make sense to give it to the county in the way that you explained it if they're doing tobacco already. But if you guys feel like we need more space to do this in a work session, I'm happy.
I think I'd rather talk about it a little bit more than
Yeah.
kind of make that choice right now.
Okay.
I don't have enough information to make it.
Rita, are you saying yes?
No, yeah, I think I would like it at the work session.
Okay. Work session.
That's fine with me. I would probably defer it to the county as well, but there's no harm in having a work session.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a 70-minute conversation, but I think we can do it in a work session. Thank you.
Then just a heads up, we plan on posting for the Public Services Director position by the end of the week with a position closing on December 2nd. Or at least that's where we'd schedule first interviews. Right now, we're just sending it out to the team just for any last perspectives on position profile. Big shout out to Natalie Meyer, who helped create a really, I think, fantastic document. So it's more than just that, 6-sentence posting that you'd see, but we created a 6-page position profile that gets into the duties of the position, some information about the community, the infrastructure that we have here. So I think it provides a better line of sight to what we're looking for and what they can expect for opportunities with that position. And then last but certainly not least, a shout out to Vicky Sanzaida and all our election workers tomorrow. Vicky does a phenomenal job, but also supported by phenomenal people who take on this very important responsibility for our community. Happy to answer any questions the council has on any topics.
Any questions for Brent?
No.
All right, council updates. Christy.
Right.
Okay.
They're on.
The one who's been out forever.
Sorry.
That's okay. Do we have anything for the HPC meeting next week? Or?
Yeah, the Doghouse Bar will have an application.
Okay, all right. So we'll have an HPC meeting. We know that the Doghouse had an incident with their building, so we'll be excited to see what's coming, and hopefully they can get that fixed up. There is the Sunday brunch for the Lions is coming up this weekend, so stop by there and have a great breakfast.
A really good breakfast.
A really good breakfast, yes. Let's see here. Brent and I met with some homeowners who are up in this Lylewood Glen neighborhood. They had reached out. They are having some issues in the county. When the road was redone, some berming was taken out there, so there's been some more noise issues and then some other issues with, obviously we've got gravel trucks coming up and down there, and the engine braking. I won't use the term that we're used to because it's trademarked, but so there's engine braking issues, and then the sheriff's office was there also, so they talked about having some of their patrols and some with the state patrol checking loads to make sure that if they're supposed to be covered when they're coming out, they are, so that the dust isn't flying. And then also just working with them through some different issues on things that they could possibly do for, sound barriers, and then things at the city that we can do, looking at different signage that talks about, we have a sign now that says that noise ordinances are enforced, but what does that mean when you're coming down the road? That doesn't mean anything. So, or practically, mean anything. So looking at getting some signs that talk about no engine braking and things like that, just to cut down on some of that extra noise and commotion as we have that very busy road of County Road 11. It's nice and it's well-traveled, and we have a lot of construction vehicles that are coming through it, especially right now with Belle Plaine, with all that construction that's happening. And then also we've got Mueller's Pit, and then we have the pit right over the border into Scott County too. So it was a good conversation. We found some things to start with, and that's where they're at. I think that's all I have.
Reed?
Just had a county park meeting last week, so just nothing in particular, just going over the budget. So, and we're working on a Baylor Park master plan that hadn't been updated since the 70s. So we're working at hiring a consultant and getting that started for the next year. For 2025 is the big goal for the county park board. So that's all I have.
Great. Lori?
I don't have any updates.
Eric?
Well, I was out last meeting, and I don't really have any updates, other than to say, I watched the meeting, and I was really happy with how the Les Schwab project has turned out. That's a lot of work, and I'm really happy that they kind of met our asks, and it came a long way. So that was great. And I was talking about earlier, I didn't know you could adopt a gutter. That was interesting, but other than that, nothing yet. Nothing this week.
All right. Some updates from me. So I mentioned before that I'm on the League of Minnesota Cities board. As part of my role on the executive committee, I participated in member visits on October 22nd and 23rd. So we visited a handful of cities, including Waukon, East Gull Lake, Bacchus, Bemidji, Wadena, and Uppsala, where we got to meet with members. And those visits were really, really useful because not only did we spend an hour with our members, so the cities that I just rounded off were where we stopped, but then in each city, like, I know Eric, you've participated in these as well. I think the last one we did was probably in Waconia, and folks from Carver County are invited. So it's not just those cities, it's neighboring communities as well that participate in it. But not only do we get feedback from our members that will help direct the work that the League of Minnesota Cities does, but it's also good for me kind of personally to kind of hear if the issues that we're dealing with here in Carver aren't so different from what they're dealing with in Bemidji or Uppsala or Waukon. So everybody brought up cannabis. Everybody brought up kind of staffing challenges to some extent. So it's just kind of good to hear what else is going on, even if it isn't, necessarily, what's going on here. So each city kind of had its own distinct flavor, which was just fun to hear from folks. We did the HPC Award on the 24th. Folks right off of 3rd Street here, kind of kitty corner from Twinings and not too far away from you, got the award. Really, really nice house. I can't think of the address off the top of my head, nor the couple's name, but a really sweet family. October 25th, I had coffee with my connection from the Minnesota Realtors Association. She does a really great job about getting out here once or twice a year and just kind of giving me updates on where the market is, and real estate market continues to be strong. Prices are going up. Houses are staying on the market for less time. October 25th, Ellie Krug is a school board member. I participated in her radio show, which I've shared on my Facebook page. It was kind of a cool podcast / radio show. Last Monday, we had a black helmet ceremony for the fire department, where Troy Walsh got his black helmet. You get your black helmet when you come off of probationary status. So we hired probably 3 or 4 firefighters in the class at the same time as Troy. But because Troy has something like 28 years of experience in the fire service, his probationary period was only a year long, and he had to complete the same checklist as everybody else. But if he could get that done in a year's time, his probationary period was a year versus 2 years for folks who are just brand new to the fire service. So cool to see that. On the 30th, I participated in BizTown interviews at La Academia, which is always so much fun. You see these 5th graders who are going to be mayor or want to be mayor or want to be the CEO of Delta Airlines, and they can tell you exactly why you should pick them. On Saturday, November 2nd, was the Hometown Harvest Hustle at Hometown Bank. Hometown Bank is perhaps maybe one of the oldest businesses in Carver, even though they're brand new to our business community. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary this year, and as part of that, all of the locations are doing 100th anniversary celebrations, and this was Carver's opportunity. So the Wienermobile was there. They had which my nephews called the hot dog truck, the hot dog car later on in the day, which hurt my heart a little bit. They had face painting, they had a balloon artist, they had carnival games. It was a really fun little event, and the weather was great for it. At the same day, Getaway Motor Cafe also did a cleanup of the former County Road 40, which was great, which is the road that they adopted. So really, really great to see that they're continuing to take care of that road. Nate has told me before that, and he's got the metrics, but like the first time they did it, they pulled out way more trash than they did recently. So it's really showing that they're impacting the community. And then yesterday, I participated in the Diwali celebration with our members of our Indian community. Last year, it was at Cologne Academy, and then this year, because they needed a bigger venue, it was at the Waconia Middle School. So they had about 300 members of the Indian community, all of them who lived in Carver, and there was a program with all kinds of dancing and then a meal afterwards, which was really, really great. So lots of fun. And then the last thing that I have is kind of echoing Brent's sentiments. Thank you to Vicki. Thank you to everybody who is going to be putting in absolutely ridiculous hours tomorrow. I think the crew gets here at, Brenda, do you know, it's like 6 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning, 6. And you'll know when they're gone because the lights will be out. And sometimes the lights don't get turned out downstairs until well after 10 o'clock at night. So definitely a long day. We have election judges who I think it was in the packet that we pay them something like $13 an hour, which is not nearly enough, but appreciate all of their hard work and everything that goes into it. And please, 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 please vote if you have not already. That's it for me. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We'll give it to Councilmember Pershman and a second by Councilmember Welsh. Any further discussion? I don't have to do that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Good evening.